Okay, thank you. So you are hearing me, right? Um, okay, so nice to talk
Yes,
to you, Amira. It's a pleasure. Um, so to start
it's
with,
a
uh,
pleasure being here.
thank you, dear. So to start with, maybe starting with an introduction of yourself, of what are you doing? I know you are a film director, more into documentaries, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
so let's start about it.
so okay. So I'm Egyptian, currently living in Cairo,
Okay.
and I graduated from broadcasting,
Mm-hmm.
from the TV department,
Mm-hmm.
and I created a few documentaries. One is about food waste
Mm-hmm.
along the food chain, and it's linked to climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is about nature in urban spaces and what it means to connect with nature, although the city is suffocating and nature is being removed.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are people connecting? And this film was shot across Syria, Egypt, and Prague,
Mm-hmm.
and had also some animations.
Okay.
And then there's another film I made about losing my grandmother, who
Mm-hmm.
was the closest person to me, and that journey of loss, of trying to find that same language of love
Mm-hmm.
through people who are around me, through my mother, my friends. And I do that through the lens of food
Mm-hmm.
because I love food very much and I love eating and I love when people cook for me. Um, and then there's another film about street food in general in
Mm-hmm.
Cairo. So I go all over Cairo. I'm connecting with its people because people told me if you go out with your camera in the street, people
Mm-hmm.
are not going to be friendly. They're going to break your camera. And then they ended up being very friendly, and I got a lot of free food.
Yes.
And then there's also a film about uh, two protagonists
Okay.
in downtown Cairo. One is called Nabil, who
Mm-hmm.
is a 70-year-old man, and the other is called Sumaya. And we follow their journey of wanting to be chefs because they believe that cooking is a love language. So they
Mm-hmm.
both want to open a restaurant.
Okay.
So we see the difference in how their lives panned out.
Okay. I don't know if
And my next project,
mm-hmm.
sorry, sorry,
Yes.
go
No, no, go ahead.
ahead. Because I went through a really, really rough phase of clinical depression in
Okay.
Cairo, and a lot of people didn't really know that depression is a disease, so they treated it a lot with through religiosity, which can be very dangerous. So that's
Mhm.
the next topic I want to speak about.
Okay. I don't know if it's all of these are actually being screened right now or it's always in the production phase.
No, they're all done,
Mhm.
except for
The last one
the
about
depression
depression.
one.
Mm.
Yeah, it's still nothing has been done, but actually, funnily enough, tomorrow Sweet and Salty will be screened,
Mm-hmm.
which is the one about my grandmother, the two chefs in downtown, and the street food in Cairo.
Okay. Seems interesting, Amira. Good luck for this. So, our
Oh,
subject today is about textures. I believe that you had some of the questions. Actually, it's about, the thesis is a comparative study between textures perception in real life and on screen. So, in films, there is sound, there is colors, and there's always textures. Either if we did it like intentionally or like it was randomly chosen, textures are there, okay? So this is the subject of the
yeah,
thesis, and this interview part will be with film directors, production designers to understand from a creative POV, from a film director POV, how you see this. Is it like important for you in your film is something that you pay attention to before doing the film, or it's just something that you do randomly? And also, I would love to know how you see it. And maybe also we will talk also about the future of these textures, maybe with the emergence of, the VR, ER, and stuff like this. I would like to start with you telling me about textures. What do you think about it? How do you see it as an element of films, of audiovisual productions, let's say, to not be limited in fiction or documentaries, just from a film director POV, how you do you see, or do you identify, or let's say, which definition you can give to textures?
Okay. Well, for starters, as someone who loves to draw, so from a young age, I used to love doodling a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes with a lot of texture and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes repetition. So
Mm-hmm.
in a way, also textures are therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
They're therapeutic for the eye. I think they're very calming.
Mm-hmm.
And they can also be very messy,
Mm-hmm.
because they're expressive. Um, when it comes to cinema, I think that everything you use
Mm-hmm.
intentionally or unintentionally will give off like some message,
Mm,
whether consciously or unconsciously. So I feel it's very important to know how your colors play out, why you're leaving things messy if you are. So, for
mm,
example, in documentary, I try to leave things as honestly as possible. And
mm-hmm.
people are often like, no, that's not good. Like your hair wasn't well done, or the room is not tidy, or, but
Mm,
it's real. And I think people want to see real.
mm,
Um, so I think colors, spaces, authenticity, authentic, anyways,
mm-hmm.
are important in uh, audiovisual production.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of directors use patterns and repeated patterns to convey certain messages.
Mm,
I wouldn't say I have used a lot of patterns in my film, but like an example that comes to mind now is that when I was filming my grandmother's film, Amina, there was a scene where I'm getting ice cream with my mother,
mm-hmm.
and we decided that we're going to wear the same shirt, different colors, but the same pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends said, I didn't really remember you saying this was your mother, but because you were both wearing this, having
Yes,
ice cream,
it
she's wearing
it
blue,
it
you're
did
wearing red.
symbolize the relation between two of you,
Yeah,
like wearing the same
yeah,
thing. I see.
yeah.
So it's cool that you did painting because it's closer to textures than maybe films, because something you did, you touch. So that will bring me to the first question about the physical interaction with textures. So now you did
Mm.
painting, you are a film director today. Do you think, from your personal POV, let's say as a painter, as a film director, that physical interactions with textures elicit stronger or different emotional responses compared to on-screen textures? You know what I mean? You did painting, so you
Yeah.
touched a lot of things. You are doing the documentaries, so you are filming or taking pictures, videos of textures, either
Yeah.
intentionally or not. Do you think that if we paint a texture, sorry, and film the same texture, do you think like people who are going to touch will have the same feelings as the people who will see this texture?
No,
Yeah.
I feel that there's always a difference to seeing something in reality or not seeing in reality. So it's the same with film. You see in documentaries,
Mm,
most people are always like, "Oh, I'm filming this documentary and I have these characters and they're gonna be very authentic." But what happens is most of the time you're both performing.
mm,
to some degree. So now I create content on Instagram,
mm,
and as much as I'd like to think that it's 100% me,
mm.
which probably is because I have no filter, but I am trying to be entertaining. If
Okay.
I am
Okay.
alone, I'm just gonna sleep or look out of the window. I'm not a constant stream
Yeah.
of entertainment. Uh, but when it comes to seeing textures in real life, I think that uh, I think the visually I can't tell if seeing it in real life or through a screen it's different, but I'll use the example of if I want to travel, I
Mhm.
don't want to see nature through my desktop. I want to see it in real life in real time
Yeah.
because there is an effect to that. And nature is very healing in
Mm,
real time. But when it comes to texture, I feel like if you were to touch the texture, it can be very different because texture is very touching things in general can be very healing.
mm,
And a lot of people say when you're in pain, don't just speak, but work with your hands, like
mm.
with the dough, with the, if you're knitting, if you're
Yeah.
putting your hands in the mud of pottery. So I feel like touching and interacting with texture is very different.
Okay. So, let's say that we want to create the same feeling. For example, one of the textures I used in my practical part, because I brought people, like 60 people, to touch textures, and I sent videos to other 60 people with the hand touching the same textures to see at the end if the emotional response will be the same in the both cases, from the people doing the
Yeah.
touching experience and the people watching these textures being touched. So my question now is, do you think it's possible to convey like the same feeling, or let's say not a feeling but an emotional intensity, through visual textures? Do you think we can do this?
I mean, I think you could definitely convey the intensity, but
Mm,
would it be the same exact feeling? I'm not sure.
okay. So that will bring us to the haptic and sight. How much do you think that the interpretive depth change between sight and touch? People, we do interpretation. We interpret,
Mm,
the
yeah.
things. How much does it change between touch and sight?
I would say that touch gives you more room for interpretation because it's a very explorative thing. So if my friend had this activity where she would put a rope around her eyes and touch paint
Mm-hmm.
and the paint with it when she wasn't actually looking at it.
Mm,
And I think that it really makes you tune in with your own body and senses in general.
yes.
So you're always like, oh, 1 second, I'm gonna go call.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're always when you're looking at things, you might, not register a lot of things. They
Mm.
go into the back drive, but when you're consciously not seeing, then
Amira, do you hear me? Amira, Amira,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Do you hear me now?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Could you just give me 5 minutes because I have an emergency?
Yes,
One
of
second.
course. Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Yes. Hi. Sorry.
So we were
Hello.
saying hello again.
Hello.
We were talking about, the interpretive depth between touch and sight, and we were talking about your friend who used like to put something on her eyes and touch the paintings.
Yes.
So I had the question about this, because um, let's say that all of us have memories, okay? We have personal experiences. Do you think like this also play a role in the way we see textures or we interpret textures? Know what I mean?
Yes. Uh, yeah, of course, I think so, but I don't know why that happens.
Mm,
But it's like, when you're on Facebook and they give you this like patterns and they're like, what do you see? If you see a lion, it means you're
mm.
fierce, but if you see a,
Yes.
a dog, it means you're loyal. And I don't know why we see a certain pattern
Mm-hmm.
first, but it must mean something about the way our brains are translating
Mm.
data.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
L- Talking about, backgrounds, because here we are talking about personal experiences. Do you think also from a film director POV that cultural background, gender, these variables that change from one person to another, um also media exposure, there is people who are exposed. For you example, I believe that you are so exposed to movies, to films, to videos on social media and stuff like that. Do you think like these variables, media exposure, gender, cultural background, also play a role in how people see or feel the textures?
Definitely, yeah. I think that from each, aside from any variables, but like each human is different with a different genetic makeup and history,
Mm-hmm.
and their interpretation will be different. It's like also how humans see each other. So I might want everybody to see me a certain way, but in each person's mind, I'm a different version and
Mm.
like a you know mixture of a mosaic that I have no idea what is made up of.
Yes.
But so I feel like it's the same with texture.
Mm.
Um, that it might be interpreted differently from person to person. People see the same texture.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know if it's the same example, but I remember there was this experiment where people were asked a bunch of questions, and most of them ended up seeing an elephant. I don't know how, but that's what they saw. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Um, as a film director, always as a film director, okay, do you think there is some specific strategies or techniques, you know, to simulate or evoke texture in the absence of the touch?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Um, I would say Sound.
Mm-hmm.
Sound can really make me feel the texture.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting can make it pop out, and color can give it, the feeling. I'm
Okay.
actually sitting next to someone very artistic myself,
Mm-hmm.
which I hope he agrees with what I'm saying because he's the expert, not me.
Okay. Um, okay, let's talk about examples. You talked about the scene where you were eating ice cream with your mom. You were wearing the same t-shirt. What about giving other examples from maybe your films or other people's films that you had the opportunity to see or to watch about textures that were used to establish an atmosphere or an emotional depth in films?
In the film Biophilia,
Mm-hmm.
the girl who put a rope around her, like a bandana around her
Mm-hmm.
eyes, we were in her studio, which is an art studio, and it's just full of plants and flowers and tea and paintings on the wall. So on that day, we really wanted to kind of convey that nature is around you and within you, no matter where you are. So we
Mm-hmm.
were really playing with everything that day. With the flowers, we were touching them. We were playing with the lights on the wall. We
Mm-hmm.
were playing with the paint. We were playing with papers, all kinds of things. So that's something that comes to mind as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay. I told you that we will be talking about the future, it's not the future, it's actually something we are living today. It's like the 3D, the VR, the ER, all these technologies we are now living with film screening. What role do this can play in presenting textures, in evoking emotions through textures for audiences? Do you think like
Mm.
it's going to be more possible to evoke or to stimulate emotion emotional responses through these technologies better than we are doing right now, in films being like 2D, you know?
Hmm. Well, I think it depends because if I think, for example, the idea of watching a film through VR is really cool
Mm,
because then it's very, very vivid. It's like you're right there and you're experiencing everything like you're there. So
mm,
it probably feels way more real and authentic. But in terms of VR, maybe also there is this other side, which is wishful thinking or giving you whatever you wanted. So if you want to feel like you're in Hawaii, you can go to Hawaii and feel the sea maybe
mm,
and in that way you're probably anticipating a certain feeling.
mm-hmm.
But I think what's so cool about cinema and art in general is you feel a feeling you didn't expect to feel.
Yes,
And I like that.
exactly. To the unaccepted responses we have into films. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so after these questions, Amira, I don't know if, as I told you in the beginning, if you already paid attention to this element, let's say, of films, or it's just now that we are having this discussion that you are thinking actually about textures. What can you say about it? Like, let's start about what do you think about textures as an element? Are they as important as colors, as sounds, as dialogues? You know what I mean? This basic elements, let's say. Do you think that textures may have this important role in recreating reality since we are speaking mainly about documentaries?
You mean outside of the field of film?
Yes. Or in the film. I'm talking visually, you know?
Oh, yes, yes. Definitely, because for example, let's say here in Cairo we have a lot of Islamic architecture and art,
Mm-hmm.
and that is very pattern based, and that says a lot about our history.
Mm,
Same with ancient Egypt. You have a lot of patterns, and these patterns tell stories,
mm,
and they help us understand the world. So we are storytellers, and a lot of storyteller is done through patterns. And even if we say a story, we say it over and over again in different ways, and then you find a pattern, like a
yeah.
cycle of love, a cycle of abuse, a cycle of amazement, of
Mm,
humor. So I think patterns are very important to help us understand ourselves and the world, and they definitely stimulate something in the viewer.
mm,
And I just remember that in Cairo there's this palace called Muhammad Ali Palace, and
mm-hmm.
it's full of Islamic architecture that's very beautiful. And every time I go there and I look, it evokes a certain feeling.
Mm,
And same in Alexandria, the architecture is beautiful. There are lots of different patterns, and it always evokes different feelings. And I feel like it tells you a lot about people as well, like how diligent they were, how
mm.
what materials they used, what kind of weather was present. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, that for me, Amira, will be all. Thank you so much. That was
okay,
so
perfect.
interesting because I'm actually enjoying having this discussions with people like you know. And film directors, production designers. I will be happy if you can like recommend a production designer, an Egyptian one that really want to talk about this topic. If you have anyone in idea, it's so welcome. I will be so like pleasure to have another discussions with people like this. But at all, after all, thank you so much. That was very cool. I enjoyed it.
Thank
I
you.
will.
And would you mind if when you finish this research, we share this maybe with people? Because I
Of
think
course,
it's really cool.
of course, that will be a pleasure of
Okay.
me. Of course. I will be
Okay.
also sending you,
Perfect.
the recording. I will do the transcription of our discussion. It might be like for a good use for you, and I will be sending you this by
Yes,
email.
definitely. Definitely.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank
Thank
you
you very
so
much.
much, Amira. Thank you.